Hey everybody, it's Jimmy Kennedy here, formerly of River Run Restaurant, and now with JDK Barbecue Catering. And JDK is it's a family business. We've been doing this for quite a few years, and this is my lovely daughter June, my 9-year-old daughter, who has been helping me quite a bit with the catering for several years, as well as just cooking at home. And she's got some pretty serious skills, and it's super creative in coming up with new recipes. Well, we did one a few weeks ago, or you did. Which one was that? What, the first one you did?
Junie salad.
Junie salad. Why don't you tell everybody what that was? And we put this in a wine glass.
It's chocolate chips, strawberries, or raspberries, or both, whipped cream, sprinkles, chocolate sauce, and a cherry.
So basically, it's like a sundae that we put in with.
Instead of ice cream, fruit, and chocolate.
It's so good too. We do that a lot, but that's just one of the things she's come up with. And I have a 21-year-old daughter also, Josie, who got to experience River Run, who grew up in the restaurant. And Junie missed that part of it. But with all this stay-at-home time we've had lately, we decided to start using some of the recipes in the cookbook and doing some videos, right? And we're going to do all of our favorites. And today we're going to do Jambalaya, which is one of my favorites. And I've made this so many times at the restaurant and at home and for tons of events. Page 127, you just turn right to it, it falls open. And you like jambalaya, right? What's your chicken?
Not too spicy.
Not too spicy chicken. I agree, that's a good one. Typically, jambalaya is made with a smoked sausage like andouille, but I've learned, like, through doing so much catering events, people don't always want meat in their jambalaya. So what we're going to do today is just straight seafood. We use a seafood stock. We're using some walleye from Lake Champlain. So this is kind of like Vermont jambalaya, if you will. But typically it's with a sausage, and you know, it can be chicken, duck, alligator, just about anything you want, really. I mean, this originated in New Orleans, and actually in the French Quarter of New Orleans, where this recipe gets a lot of credit. But it's also of West African and French and Spanish origin, as a lot of the Cajun Creole recipes are. And what is different about jambalaya as compared to gumbo or etouffee is the rice is cooked in the dish. It's all cooked together. It's a huge one-dish meal, whereas gumbo or etouffee is served over rice. And this is super easy. I mean, as you can see, there's only a few ingredients, and it goes really, really quickly. And starting out with a little bit of oil. Now, always use cast iron. This is a Lodge cast iron enameled Dutch oven, which is great for just about everything.
That was loud.
It is loud. It's hot. So what I want you to do, sweetie, is stir this up for me. Can you reach that? You can stand up if you need to. And normally I would, if I was using andouille, I would brown the meat first and then just degrease the pan a little bit and add the vegetables to it. And all we're going to do is just saute these a little bit to get them softened up. Smells good, doesn't it?
It's really loud.
That's all right. That means it's super hot. We don't want to burn them, so we're going to go quick. Going to add a little bit of the spice now. And what we have in here is thyme, oregano, white pepper, black pepper, cayenne pepper, and a little bit of basil. And one of the things I've found, especially with Creole or Cajun cooking, holds true 100% of the time, really. It's the blend of the spices that makes these dishes either good or really, really, really good. And some folks like Paul Prudhomme, John Foles, these guys have it down. I mean, they were great with spices and the blend. I mean, some of the recipes in some of these cookbooks they have, or some of their recipes, it could be 20 different spices. And it's like 1.5 teaspoons, 1 teaspoon, quarter teaspoon. And you wouldn't think it would make that much of a difference, but it does. So a lot of times I follow the recipes pretty strictly, or at least experiment to what I like to eat and serve. Looking pretty good. Then we're going to add some crushed or diced tomatoes. These are petite diced. And in New Orleans cooking, it's like, the story is that they started substituting tomatoes for saffron because saffron was so expensive at the time. And the farther you get out of New Orleans, the less tomatoes is used. So this is called more or less like New Orleans cooking or Cajun cooking. As you get further out, it's called Creole. And in the Creole cooking, you hardly ever see tomatoes being used. But you never know. I mean, things are, kind of depends on the family, really. So we got spices, tomatoes, a little more spice. This one's kind of...
It also depends on how much spice you put in.
Exactly, how much spice you put in, how much cayenne pepper, like the other day.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. It was too spicy, wasn't it? You still ate it, though.
It was good.
Good. And so what we do is we just cook this down a little bit. And since we're using straight up fish today, we're going to use a seafood stock. A lot of times I use chicken stock, especially if I'm doing andouille, or not just poultry, but any meat. I use a chicken stock in this. Keep cooking, my love. Keep stirring.
It's a lot easier to stir once you add the
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
stuff.
Let that cook a little bit. We're going to bring this up to temp, and then we're going to add the rice, and the rice is going to cook right in this dish. So it's kind of like a stew now, but once the rice gets in here, it becomes very thick. And we put the fish in right at the end. Like if I'm using shrimp or anything, really, any kind of fish, we put it in right at the end because it cooks so fast, and you don't want the fish to fall apart. With chicken, it's not so important. Looking pretty good?
Well done.
Let's crank it up a little bit. I think that's hot enough. We're going to add the rice. And this recipe is on my website, jimmydk.com, and it will be on New England Cooks as well. Good? All right, let's let that cook a little bit, why don't we? You can hear it bubbling. I'll leave this like just partially covered, and sometimes we'll cook this up to an hour, but it can go half an hour. Basically, you just want these flavors to melt a little bit and to cook together. And once it starts getting thick, you'll see it. You'll think it's never going to thicken up, and then all of a sudden, you see the rice start to grab, and it starts getting a little thick. And right before it's completely done, you add the fish, and it's delicious. I mean, it takes like 3 seconds for that fish to cook, really, maybe a little longer, but not long at all. Once you get that done, you just put it on like a large rim plate or a bowl. We'll garnish with some scallions or parsley, whatever. It's a great dish. You see how easy this is. This is so easy to make at home. People just kind of forget about some of these kind of dishes that are so easy, and they feed a lot of people. Is another great thing. And you can keep it in the fridge for days. It's a great family dish for sure, and especially with all this time at home, this will be #1 on the list right here, I promise you. All right, we're gonna let this cook for a little bit, and we'll come back to it and add the fish. All right, let's check this Jambo, see how it's doing. Oh yeah. Nice and steamy, and you can see how it's thickened up. It's just like cooking rice. It absorbs the broth, it gets nice and thick, but it's not quite
It looks
done.
so tasty.
It's delicious. So now we're gonna add the fish. And like I said, you put the fish in, or the shrimp, whatever you're doing, right at the end. And it just takes a little bit of time. You gonna set that over here, sweetie? Set that out of the way. Got it?
Yep.
Just stir that in nice and easy so the fish doesn't break up.
I let you stir it then.
Yeah.
I'm not good at stirring like that.
No. We're just gonna let
Why
this
do we
fish
have
cook.
those?
Those are green onions or scallions, and we're going to use for garnish. Make it look real pretty.
Ooh.
You could throw some in here now too if you want, just a little bit, just while the fish cooks. Again, this is walleye that we're fortunate enough to catch opening day, which is just, I believe it was last Saturday. But you can use anything, yellow perch, catfish, pike, any kind of fish. And you want to do a fancy dish, you can even use lobster, shrimp, anything in this. But try making it with andouille sausage and not straight seafood if you do like that. It's really good. You get a whole different flavor profile with the andouille and the seafood together. But we make it at home with just chicken, don't we?
I like chicken.
Chicken's pretty good in this too.
And chicken nuggets.
And chicken nuggets. We don't put chicken nuggets in this, do we?
No.
Okay, good. I thought
That
maybe you were
would be
sneaking.
weird.
I thought it'd be weird too, but I thought maybe you were sneaking some in.
No.
And as soon as the fish starts getting opaque, it is done.
What's
Look
that
how yummy that
smell?
looks. I hope that's the jambalaya.
It smells good.
Yeah. A lot of that smell is the thyme, the herb thyme. You can smell it. June's responsibility during the summer is growing herbs for us. She's got a little box she grows. What all do you grow?
Rosemary and thyme.
Rosemary and thyme are
And
two
tiny tomatoes.
tiny tomatoes. She has her own little garden. She keeps us supplied in fresh
And
herbs.
I tried to grow miniature eggplants, but those didn't really work.
They didn't work so well. I was so excited about those too.
And once we tried to grow miniature watermelons, but those didn't work
The mini
either.
stuff's not working for us, is it? We'll try again this year though.
Except for miniature tomatoes. Those
Yeah.
work.
Those are easy. And I think, June, this is done. What do you think?
Hold on a minute, I need to finish adding this stuff.
Well, we don't want to use it all.
I know, I'm only adding a little.
I'm gonna go ahead and plate some of this up. Then you can garnish it for real, okay?
Yay. I like
Serve this in a big bowl or a plate like this. It's got a little bit of a.
I
get a little
prefer
rim
it
to
in
it.
bowls
You prefer it in bowls?
because you don't have to be as careful.
That's true. Nice big helping of this.
That's a lot.
That is a lot, but that's what it should be like. Go ahead and give me some garnish. Good? What do you think? I think that's
Little
perfect.
more.
All right. Heavy on the garnish. This, my friends, would be delicious walleye jambalaya, or Vermont seafood jambalaya. It's a dish we eat at home at least every other week, and it's different every time. That's the great thing about jambalaya. Make this recipe your own, change up the spices a little bit, but you'll see sticking to the spice blend is a good thing. But use your imagination. The only thing you got to be really tight on would be the broth to rice ratio, so it cooks just right. And I think you'll be making this at home quite a bit. And you can use anything in the fridge or freezer
It's
you got.
really easy.
It really
takes a
is
while,
easy.
but it's really easy.
Thank you, you're right. And what else is it?
Yummy.
Yummy. Thank you guys. See you next time. We'll do some more recipes out of the cookbook.